The Sports Central will be giving you guys my preseason college football rankings for the 2023 season. We are less than a couple of months away from the kickoff of the 2023 season. It is rapidly approaching, and so today I'll be giving you guys my first top 25 of this season. These will be our preseason rankings, so we're still a couple of months away, but we've got a pretty good idea at this point as to which teams should be the main contenders here in 2023. So this will give you an idea of what teams you can expect to be in college football playoff contention, and those that are also on the outside looking in, potentially your dark horse teams as well. So that's it. Let's get started with 1 through 5. And number 1 is going to be, without a doubt, Georgia heading into the season. This is a team that's won 2 straight national titles, obviously, back-to-back national champions, and you can expect them to be right up there once again in contention to win a 3rd in a row. This is a team that defensively is going to be brutal. Offensively, there's going to be a few changes for sure, but I mean, even on both sides of the ball, there's going to be a few big changes, but the amount of depth on this team, the recruiting, everything is just outstanding for this team. So I've got no concerns about this team, and I honestly could see this team being even better in 2023. It's pretty incredible what Georgia has done over the past couple of seasons. But number 2 is going to be Michigan. Michigan's going to be right up there once again here in 2023. They have taken over as the top power in the Big Ten the past couple of seasons. They've won the Big Ten 2 straight years now, and J.J. McCarthy coming back, Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards. This offense is going to be outstanding. Defensively, they should be outstanding as well. I mean, your top 2 teams with Georgia and Michigan are definitely my favorites to win a national title in 2023, and I'd probably lean towards Georgia there. Michigan needs to get over the hump of winning in the college football playoff semis now. The last couple of years they have fallen, but I do think Georgia and Michigan right up there as your top favorites to win the national title here in 2023. But right on the outside, these teams are not far away from there. USC and LSU in particular are my 3 and 4, and it might surprise you seeing USC this high, but the Pac-12 could have some for real teams here in 2023, and USC is the team that I've got at the top. This is a team that last season, offensively, you could have argued that they had the best offense in the country last year, and considering some of the additions that this team is having and the experience this offense will have, you can expect this offense to potentially be even better. And defensively, that was obviously the main issue in 2022. I mean, the defense really held this team back. If their defense was better, USC could have absolutely been right up there with Georgia to win the national title last season, but in the end, it just didn't work out with the defense. So with this defense improving, this offense should be incredible. I've got USC number 3 for sure. I do think that's a team that you should absolutely keep an eye on. Lincoln Riley, an incredible coach, and suddenly in a couple of years, I mean, you think back to a couple of years ago, USC was one of the bottom teams in the Pac-12, and suddenly they're right up there in national contention once again. In LSU, I mean, that is a team that has come back to life, and I mean, you consider Jaden Daniels. He has brought tremendous potential back to this team. I mean, you think back to his time at Arizona State, kind of flatlined there, but last season he really broke through. Defensively, LSU should be excellent once again. So yeah, LSU is really a team to keep an eye on as well. And the SEC, I mean, I've got Alabama as the number 3 team in the SEC, which last season we did see LSU win the division over Alabama, and that could definitely happen again. But the Crimson Tide, it's just something about this team. Nick Saban, you can tell that this team is being a bit underestimated right now. You consider the quarterback situation being a bit uncertain. Of course, you got Jalen Milroe, who's expected to start, but we haven't seen him play at a high level yet, so there's a bit of uncertainty there. But I mean, it's still a Nick Saban coach team, and honestly, for that reason, I wouldn't be surprised one bit if Alabama came back, maybe won the national title once again right up here in 2023. So yeah, do not underestimate Alabama, despite this team maybe having some of its lowest expectations in quite a while heading into a season. Moving on to 6 through 10, we got Washington at number 6. The Huskies are for real. If you haven't followed college football much this offseason, keep an eye on the Huskies. I mean, the Pac-12 is going to be stacked here in 2023. I really see it being a really deep, solid conference. There are 5 or 6 teams that could be really good, and Washington and USC are at the top. I do think Washington does have a bit of a disadvantage in comparison to USC defensively. Honestly, though, both offenses should be 2 of the best in the country here. I mean, Washington, you look at this receiving core, the amount of experience and the talent this team has with Odunze, Jalen Polk, Jalen McMillan. I mean, this is going to be a solid team. Michael Penix broke through in 2022. Keep an eye on Washington. They are probably my favorite dark horse. They are getting some noise, but but honestly, they should be getting even more. I really like Washington a lot, that's for sure. Ohio State's number 7, just for the talent of this team alone. I mean, I understand that there's a couple of uncertainties for Ohio State. Maybe this team is a bit inexperienced in comparison to some recent years, but I definitely have Ohio State still as a true contender. I mean, this is a team to not sleep on. Kyle McCord in there. We haven't seen him play too much, but I do have some good confidence that he can lead this team to a great season. Obviously, the receiving core, just excellent as always. You consider Marvin Harrison, Julian Fleming. Don't forget Mega Egbuka. So, I mean, this Ohio State offense is going to be excellent, no doubt. Defensively, this should be great. Ohio State's at number 7 for me, but they're without a doubt still a big national contender. Florida State's number 8. This is a team getting a lot of noise to be a dark horse national contender here in 2023. Florida State is definitely back. This is a team that Jordan Travis, I mean, this team has got as many players returning as anybody in the country. They're going to be experienced here in 2023, and they were excellent in 2022, especially towards the end of the year. So Florida State, keep an eye on them. That is a team really to keep an eye on. Them and Clemson. It's either Florida State or Clemson to win the ACC, and honestly, we could see one of those teams definitely back in the college football playoff. Clemson should be really good once again. I like them. I mean, they've kind of had a down past couple of years in comparison to where they've been, but I definitely think Clemson is still I mean, Kate Klubnik brings a lot of optimism, I think, to this team. He definitely brings a higher ceiling, so keep an eye on him, and definitely on Clemson. Penn State's number 10. Penn State is a team that last season was truly one of the best teams in the country, but they were just so overshadowed because of their losses to Michigan and Ohio State. Those were the only 2 losses that Penn State took last year, and Penn State, Drew Ryler, that's a team with a lot of potential as well, looking forward to 2023. So I've got Penn State definitely in the top 10, but I do think they get a bit overshadowed once again by Ohio State and Michigan. Moving on to 11 through 15, Oregon is number 11. So that's your third Pac-12 team in the top 11 there. And the Ducks definitely should be excellent. I mean, Bo Nix, this offense is going to be excellent. I really think the Pac-12 is filled with just outstanding offenses here in 2023. This is as good as the Pac-12 has been in a long time. I mean, and honestly, Oregon has got the potential to be right up there as a big contender. Defensively, they should be good. Offensively, they're going to be outstanding, so definitely keep an eye on the Ducks. Notre Dame's number 12. Notre Dame has got tremendous potential. Sam Hartman, the Wake Forest transfer quarterback, who, I mean, led Wake Forest to some really good seasons. I mean, Wake Forest being a small team in the ACC, really not much of a contender in recent years, but Sam Hartman led that team to some really solid years. So seeing him at Notre Dame now, I mean, and Notre Dame's a team that I definitely think has got more talent. It's definitely going to be interesting seeing what he can do there. And I see Notre Dame as definitely a big contender once again here in 2023 and truly a big dark horse team. But right below them is going to be Utah at 13. And Utah I had very high expectations for in 2022. I thought Cam Rising coming back, the amount of experience that this team had in 2022, they should have for sure been a big national contender. They just took a couple of really close losses that in the end kind of ruined their hopes. But I mean, I do view Utah as the 4th ranked team in the Pac-12, and they're ranked 13. I mean, the Pac-12 has just got so much depth, I think, here in 2023. And so for Utah, they're a bit overshadowed, definitely a bit underestimated maybe. Looking forward to 2023, they could definitely surprise some people. I mean, Cam Rising's still coming back. So, I mean, Utah's still a team to keep an eye on, but I just don't know that, I mean, they can compete up against especially Washington and USC, 2 teams that just all around I feel like are just better. But Utah is definitely a team that could be a sleeper. I do have this team at 13, but they've got all the potential in the world to be a big contender. Texas will be 14. Now, Texas, a very talented team that in the future you could definitely see being a big national contender. I do think Texas might just be my favorite to win the Big 12. Quinn Ewers now with some experience, and I mean, defensively they should be better. So Texas, I do think should be a pretty good team here in 2023. I don't think they're a national contender, but last season here in the Big 12, I wouldn't be surprised if they won the conference in their final year there. And Tennessee's number 15. Tennessee turned out to be a really good team here in 2022. But for 2023, obviously different quarterback, Joe Milton. But I'll say this about Joe Milton. The way he played in 2022 when he did, I mean, he could replace Hendon Hooker pretty well, and I do think Tennessee is a team with a lot of potential still, and maybe they are even being underestimated considering, I mean, they did lose some of their key talent from 2022 for sure, but I see Tennessee as still a team to definitely keep an eye on right up here in 2023, even though the SEC remains a brutal conference. But moving on to 16 through 20, we got North Carolina at 16. This is my third-ranked team in the ACC. And North Carolina offensively, Drake May, really like him a lot. They should be a really solid team. I do think defensively that's going to hold them back a bit. Maybe their defense isn't quite as on the same level as their offense, but I do think North Carolina is still a pretty solid team here, a top 20 team here in 2023. Kansas State is 17. Oklahoma is number 18. I do think Oklahoma rebounds here in 2023. They'll be a decent team, maybe right around 10 wins. I don't think they're a big national contender, but I do think they're at least halfway decent. And Kansas State, a really good season last year. I mean, Will Howard, I do think that is still a really talented, experienced team. Keep an eye on K-State to maybe make a run for their second straight Big 12 title. I mean, you could say they maybe surprised a bit in 2022, but they're still definitely a team with a lot of experience and potential. 19 is Wisconsin. 20 is Iowa, your top two teams projected in the Big Ten West. And Iowa's finally got a decent quarterback. Cade McNamara in there from Michigan. Maybe Iowa could be a dark horse contender. Keep an eye on them. And honestly, Wisconsin, I do think rebounds first year under Luke Fickell. An excellent head coach, so we'll see what he can do with Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin returns to contention in the near future. 2023 is a bit iffy. I do think they're a top 20 team still. I do have them winning the Big Ten West, but Iowa's not far behind. I mean, the Hawks' defense should still be really good, and offensively they should improve. So really keep an eye on both Wisconsin and Iowa to be dark horse contenders. 21 through 25, Arkansas is number 21, Texas A&M number 22. Both teams obviously out of the SEC. Texas A&M really disappointed last year. I do think they are improved here in 2023. I got them right around 8 or 9 wins. For them to not even make a bowl game in 2022 was pretty, that's pretty stunning. You consider the talent of that team. Definitely disappointing, but Arkansas, I do think KJ Jefferson is a good quarterback, and that's a team that should cause some noise. I don't see them being a big conference contender, but at least they can be a somewhat decent team right around 8 or 9 wins as well. Oregon State's 23. They're your dark horse team of the Pac-12. I don't think Oregon State is better than your top 4 being Utah, Oregon, Washington, and USC, but Oregon State's still a good team that really surprised some people in 2022. They were pretty good last season, so definitely still keep an eye on them. And then you got Ole Miss at number 24. Another SEC team here that have got right around 8 or 9 wins. They'll be good in 2023, but not a big contender. And then UCLA is 25. And UCLA is kind of a team of the future, I think. This is their last season in the Pac-12. Obviously, them and USC moving on to the Big Ten here in 2024. But UCLA, Dante Moore, true freshman quarterback, a very highly rated quarterback. He brings a lot of potential for the future. This is still a pretty young team, though, in comparison to where they've been maybe in the past year or two. So I do think UCLA might not be a big contender in 2023, but that is definitely a team of the future, a team to keep an eye on, maybe a couple years down the road to be a potential contender. But a couple of honorable mentions as well. These teams aren't in the top 25, but Tulane honestly could be. That's still a very talented team that you could probably expect to be the top team out of the group of 5. And then Maryland, Miami, Texas Tech, and TCU rounded out. 2 Big 12 teams with Texas Tech and TCU. I do think TCU falls off a bit. Texas Tech could be a dark horse contender, even though I do have them just outside the top 25. I do like Miami a decent amount. I mean, their expectations are definitely lower coming up here this season, and especially Maryland. Keep an eye on Maryland to be a team that caused some noise in the Big Ten, pull off a big upset or two. I wouldn't be surprised if Maryland surprised some people. Maybe they get to 9, maybe even 10 wins in 2023. That's definitely a possibility. But that said, that's going to wrap it up for today. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this top 25. What teams do you think will be the biggest contenders of the season? I appreciate you guys all watching as always. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. Catch you on the next one.